We'll find out if any adjustments get made here, but we are about to go live.
We are indeed live on Awoken. Psygib over on that Nyx. So we have nosfa, Dimetro nosfa. That is new team. Over on the Anarchy. Now, we didn't talk too much in the intro about this, but Anarchy is a slightly more unusual pick relative to Nyx here. It still gets picked a fair amount, but I do like it up against the Nyx just again because the speed and the inject is a pretty decent counter to that versatility the Nyx offers. When she pops that Ghost Walk, you have that flexibility to chase her down and keep that pressure on. So, see how nosfa decides to play this one.
Yep, so far, relatively not much going on. Some good rails coming out from psygib right away. And completely agree what you're saying between these two, right? Both of them kind of have a get-out-of-jail-free card, but it can lead to potential openings for both players, right? Depending on how it's used and when it's used, etc. I would say that nosfa in a little bit better spot. psygib obviously can use that Ghost Walk offensively, defensively, in the same way nosfa can kind of use it as a, like, oh, I messed up, or I took a little bit more damage than I expected. And here we've got a lot of exchange here with LG between the two, but still 0-0. psygib has his Ghost Walk up, and this would be a good opportunity to potentially attack and or find a way to move in before that eject is back up. But psygib's just going to play this patiently, which I'm also okay with.
Yeah, but he's also slightly too late, so he's just burned a stack and his Ghost Walk for absolutely no return. He's in position for the heavy, but can't really afford to contest this without giving up his frags. So that hesitancy in his approach really didn't cost him. I would have felt if you're going to go for it, go with the aggressive Ghost Walk. Don't just try and meander in, and now very much on the back foot. And the silver lining is no frag given just yet, but the way he's been posturing in the opening few minutes shows me he's not feeling confident to contest nosfa. Because even when he's had the opening damage, he hasn't really left this rail room. Now it just feels like a matter of time before the Anarchy somehow they trade. Yeah, the eyes of nosfa show a ton of stories.
Yeah, that's actually a little surprising to me. I thought that nosfa was going to be able to clean that one up, no problem. But the trade did happen, and interestingly enough, we're back to 1-1. And nosfa was definitely in the better position. He had a much better stack. He had an inject that was ready, and here we go. He's going to inject. We do have the Ghost Walk. Wow, coming out, and he's just going to double back a little bit. But nosfa is going to read that one quite well. LG out and barely gets the frag, but barely's good enough as he is now taking the lead 2-1, grabs himself that mega, finds a good rail position, and misses the shot, unfortunately, hits the second one. Oh, but hit with one of his own, and now nosfa in the danger zone.
Lovely rails to psygib. We know this is his power. psygib's aim has always been solid and consistent as well. It's rare you see him have a really bad day. And, you know, when you can pull out shots like that, he's always in for a chance. Big rocket into Ghost Walk as he just carries on his trajectory towards that mega.
Yeah, I like that. Ooh, unfortunately misreading where he thinks his opponent's at. Ate a little bit of LG damage, but set up for the rail once again. Can't really find the shot. And psygib's actually had some pretty impressive kind of rocket shots, just like those perfect angles that do a little bit of splash damage, but enough to start working away at those stacks. Tied 2-2, more rails coming out, and both these players trying to find their rails. Definitely psygib with a little bit better accuracy, but psygib lands another one, and with a much better stack. Now another one, he could go in for this one, and he does land in yet another rail, tries to look for the cleanup, doesn't happen, gets hit with one of his own. Ghost Walk does have to come out, and unfortunately psygib not able to capitalize on all of those excellent shots, did not clean it up, and we're still at 2-2.
No, and that's the key point at the moment, is he's not able to capitalize. Yeah, he's hitting a good shot, but he's not then sustaining that pressure going in. So what it's allowing nosfa to do is just play the map, you know, run the map, heal, pick up an item, pick another item, get hit again. He's just burning items. So, you know, it's very much a stalemate at this point. And in fact, nosfa's probably coming out on top because whilst psygib's doing all this great damage, he himself isn't getting the stack he needs to feel confident. So it's been a really interesting 2 minutes.
And we're about to hit the halfway point too. And cleanup is super important. There we see the Ghost Walk come out. Somewhat offensive as he tries to line up a shot coming out of it, but it doesn't really work. LG on his opponent going up the jump pad, and he will back off psygib with the lesser stack now. Neither player with armor. And I do feel like nosfa setting up here for potentially taking that next frag. He's going to put his LG out yet again, but gets hit with a rail. And that has been the big equalizer here for nosfa. And oh my God, he hits the rocket a little low. Splash damage, takes himself out. And now it is 1-2. nosfa unintentionally gains the lead.
No, but I'm going to have to say it again. psygib needs to use this momentum, this damage, to convert it into an objective. This dueling is objective based, and he has to use his momentum to make something happen, because otherwise nosfa's the one playing the map. He's the one taking the items away from psygib. There you go, he's pressuring in again for another pretty simple kill. He's taking so much damage in the process, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whatsoever, because he's denying his opponent those items as well.
He's got an opportunity to fully grab control here, and this will be really telling from this point. Dan, because if he can keep that control up and deny psygib a stack, we could see this lead change dramatically. Has his opponent stuck in the corner there, fires the rail, nice wall jump out of there by psygib. But nosfa's set up. He's ready to grab this mega again. He's going to be keeping his opponent on those lights. He's going to try to then fight for the heavy, and he should. He's definitely got a decent stack. Fighting from below can be a little rough, but some great LG damage. He could absolutely clean this back up, but on his hop out, he gets nailed with a rail, and it kind of makes that full control go away just a little bit. psygib doesn't have a phenomenal stack, but he's still picking away at it.
And nosfa's using the speed to continually press his advantage, and that's what we talked about in the opening. When that Ghost Walker's in up, nosfa's just full throttle in aggression. He's not been connecting with an awful lot, but everything he does connect with is just so efficient because his opponent's constantly weak. psygib again, trying to go man on man, and this time he makes it count, but at what cost? He hasn't got a Ghost Walker, and he's incredibly weak. So
yeah,
I'm sure we'll see nosfa.
It's unfortunate, for nosfa that happened, but nice shot by psygib. And that has been really the thing, is despite the fact that nosfa has been, picking up a lot of the major items and having a healthy stack, psygib has just been hacking away at that. And there's another great attack there on the heavy with the LG. He's going in though, as nosfa smells blood and does manage to get the frag. I'm sure he's going to be feeling pretty good, having at least a 2-frag lead here as we head into the final 2 minutes. psygib going for that sneaky little shotgun blast that's not going to work out, and he willfully gives up that frag, unfortunately, in nosfa.
Yeah, but psygib nearly has 1,000 damage done more than nosfa. That's the problem of this game. He just hasn't been able to keep that pressure going, and nosfa has played the better duel. So 2 minutes to go. It is definitely possible on a map like Awoken, but the number one objective at the moment for nosfa is keep that control line. He hasn't had enough items. 4 heavies and 6 megas. It's not a lot.
It's not. The rail exchange happened again. I think nosfa's getting a little bit more willing to kind of go toe-and-toe here, knowing that he's got this 3-frag lead. He's still got to be very, very careful. Oh my gosh, I was going to say good positioning there with the LG, but psygib with that jumping rail saying, this game's not over yet, buddy. 1 minute left to go, and psygib really has to turn it up here. Did have his opponent very close to rail range. And now psygib, can he bring back 2 frags in just a couple minutes? Well, there's one. He's wanting to answer yes on this. He's going to get himself a heavy for that. Grabs more rail, rearms, and is going to try to go in this last minute and try to find a frag to tie it up.
Yeah, he knows where his opponent is. He's got time now to hold out for this next item. He doesn't even need to. If you can push the advantage here, nosfa stealing away the light. Hasn't got the injectors. He's had to pop that. 30 seconds to go. nosfa trying to set a trap here. He realizes roughly where his opponent is. There's a big rocket from nosfa setting him up. psygib on the chase with the Ghost Walk down if he needs it, but nosfa. Oh no.
Going hard. They're going to have a fight here. We do have Ghost Walk popped as a lot of that damage was coming out. Going to come out of the teleporter. He just needs a couple more shots, and he does manage to get it with 2 seconds left on the clock. We're going to overtime, 5-5. Neither player going into this sudden death with much of a stack. So these next set of items are going to be crucially important. nosfa did pick up that mega. The heavy is going to be up soon, and there we have nosfa laying it on with the LG. Unfortunately for psygib, he just doesn't have the right weapon out. He takes a lot of damage right there, and GG nosfa barely winning that one, but does manage to pull it out there. It was a nice comeback by psygib. Unfortunately, wasn't able to close the chapter on that one.
Yeah, he did everything he could have done, and like mechanically, he had a better game throughout. At the end, he had to throw everything he had to get that frag utility-wise. All of his stack and ability went into that, and it was just too much with the pressure off the spawn. But you just have to reflect, you know, all of these great shots, as we talked about time and time again, he wasn't able to use that to convert it into map control, to convert it into item control. It was great shots from risky positions and then forced to chase up after his opponent picked up the items. And so it just shows you, you know, having the better aim isn't everything. You have to then have the full package if you're going to win a map. So really well played by nosfa to keep that composure, you know, and stay in this set. Super close towards the end, and that awareness to chase up when he knew limitations of what Nyx had in overtime, that was pretty key as well.
Yeah, that was a nice frag there in the final seconds to take us into overtime. But the overtime was pretty short-lived, ZSX, because nosfa pulls it back. I wonder how different that would have been had either of them had a stack going into that sudden death. But given how close the frag was to the clock hitting the timer, that just wasn't going to happen. But you mentioned the damage early on, and that was really it. You know, psygib was playing, I think, a much better long-range, mid-range game, but nosfa was capitalizing a little bit more on the opportunities that presented themselves. So, you know, had psygib been able to clean up a few of those, right? He had that early exchange where he landed the 3 rails, but nosfa slipped away. That could have been just another frag that could have been added to the scoreboard. But that's how Quake happens. So you just got to roll with the punches.
You could also see the clear strategy playing out in the scoreboard from nosfa's point of view. Almost all of his damage, 2/3 of it, 3/4 of it, was from the LG. He just wanted to pick that Anarchy. He wanted to run at his opponent when the Ghost Walk wasn't up and just continually bully and chip away at that health pool. Whereas, you know, psygib was playing a fairly balanced game, but mainly a rail-based game. So nosfa's strategy played out. Take the items, run at my opponent, use my stack, use my speed, use my inject, rinse and repeat. Work like a charm.
Corrupted Keep is up next. As we mentioned, nosfa is going to be returning back to BJ in the meta here to see how the dual wield will fare against the Dire Orb. And we've seen some pretty cool stuff with Ranger and the Dire Orb in this particular matchup. You know, you get the right spawn and you can kind of squeeze out both major items at the beginning. Sometimes just a burst of damage right there off of the bat. We'll see how this will work, but I'm wondering if you know, nosfa might be able to close it out here just by using the power of that dual wield. LG's obviously been prioritized by both players, a little bit more so over in psygib's camp, but here we go. I'm sure another fast-paced game in front of us.
Yeah, psygib needs to just concentrate on the items more, get that timing up, particularly on a map like CK where you can get locked out for large periods of the game, and it's a miserable existence without an item on this map.
That rocket launcher noise is like,
it's
like there's a rocket coming your way. You ready for it? Both players kind of chilling here a little bit. psygib thinks he knows exactly where his opponent is, does land a rocket, but nosfa with a good recovery rocket of his own. It actually puts psygib in a pretty terrible spot. nosfa grabs that light armor, will get the mega yet again, and so far pretty chill for a map start here on Corrupted Keep. nosfa looking for an opportunity, sets up a trap. Dire Orb, I don't even know what happened to that Dire Orb there, but the wall, man, it got messed up bad. Oh.
There is some
Perfect.
melted. Yeah. Not the best start for psygib. We've seen some funky orbs today, and that was just another one to add to the list. And it definitely feels bad when you use it and nothing happens because you're like, what the hell do I do now? That was what the situation psygib was in, but he had to recoup, put himself a heavy off the spawn. There's another orb that just went through the legs of nosfa, I believe, so he got nutmegged and lives to fight another day.
I like it. That's good. Yeah, and we saw that dual wield LG come out and do its job. So I think that's kind of exactly what we were expecting nosfa to do as he sneaks in and steals away that mega. Nicely done, as he does take a lot of damage, but cleans up with the machine gun. And now the dual wield LG yet again into the heavy machine gun. nosfa very, very low, but he still manages to pick up another frag, and he is not giving psygib any room to maneuver at all in this map.
No, and similar to the advice we were giving in the intro, I think psygib needs to try and concentrate his fights, his combat on the major item pickups, because at the minute it just seems a little bit chaotic in no man's land. Gets himself a frag on the board now, so can slowly build back into this, but yeah, definitely try and contain the chaos to the items at the very least.
Yeah, getting that heavy after the frag, pretty important. We'll see if he can control Mega here as he steals another light. Now his opponent's waiting down below for him. nosfa, he just went a little bit too late. 1 second earlier, and maybe he would have been able to steal that away, but unfortunately nosfa knew exactly what his opponent was up to. He positioned himself nicely, puts another frag on the board. 1-5 now as we're just 3 minutes into this matchup. And psygib is going to try to come back hard on this one with a stack, but what will he be able to do? LG out, does a lot of damage there. No armor stack at all. He's going to keep on, but as we've seen many, many times before, heavy machine gun can be very effective on this map, but a nice rocket from psygib. He manages to close that gap just a little bit. Going to put some pressure on here. Coming out of there, the heavy is up. Dire Orb up to the top ridge, doesn't hit, but allows him to continue the chase. The shotgun blast, though. Oh my gosh, it was that moment where you just, you know, you need to hit that one rocket, but every single one of them whiffs, and nosfa somehow picks that one up.
I don't know how nosfa got that frag with a straight face. That was daylight robbery.
There it is, though.
There it is. Finally.
Yeah.
And it took him 2 frags, but he got it. And it is only 3-6. Obviously not a big scoreline on this map. Neither one of these players wants to relent on the combat front. More than happy to just keep banging their head against the opponent's wall. This time psygib's coming out on top. Fairly clean frag. nosfa now spinning with nothing. Except a machine gun in hand. Oh no, not again! Not again!
I'm like actually surprised how many close range fights we have had there at the Mega. There's just been a lot of carnage that has taken place there. Now the scoreline hasn't really gone much past 3 frags, and I think that's good for psygib in order to try to keep himself back up in this. There's not even halfway through this one, so there's a lot of time left to go. Want to take a quick look. 7 heavies and 2 megas for psygib. 2 heavies, 7 megas. So they're just kind of reversed there between the two. Another Dire Orb coming out. You gotta love the Dire Orb not being used as like a traversal or movement skill at all. It is straight up a mage spell in this matchup here.
Yeah, I don't know how effective that spell has been just yet. And you mentioned the parity in items, but just point out that, you know, nosfa's stolen at least 3 of them from under the nose of psygib, so somehow keeping himself in this game. If psygib just cleans that up, cleans up the timing, he will be winning this game. But, you know, for now, it is nosfa that has that lead and has built a lead with 5 minutes to go.
That was gonna probably be it. Oh my gosh, and somehow, like, nosfa's been playing a defensive game as well, right? He has not made it easy for psygib, and just about every single moment that psygib has earned himself a frag, He's done with a lot of damage. So nosfa just comes around the corner on that one. Dire Orb did come out, but I think that was kind of a panic Dire Orb a little bit there. Rockets nicely placed, but the LG of nosfa cleaning things up. He's going to go in. 5 points of health is all he's got, but cannot clean it up. And these players are scrapping.
They are indeed. Whilst nosfa hasn't got a huge amount more items than psygib, generally he's done a better job of managing the victim, so he takes a fight and then picks it up and goes back at it, whereas a lot of psygibs have been really quite messy. There's another case in point. Didn't even get it, in fact, as he just uses that spell once again, this time for the movement, but not the best orb.
Wasn't a magic missile that time. Nope, it wasn't. Yeah, not the best. But I mean, the funny thing is again how many like close encounters they have had around major items. Still a lot of time left, but nosfa's like gradually increased this lead just a little bit. I really think that also some of his defensive shots where he's been in a bad position, but he's landed kind of that perfect rocket or been able to get some additional damage, and it's allowed him to kind of sneak through and hold on to that lead. So he preemptively fires off his dual wield here. It's not going to yield much of anything, but he just wanted to be ready for that. psygib has less than 3 minutes to try to bring this back, and as we saw in map number 1, he's capable of it, but it can be a tough map, especially, you know, if you're not really using that Dire Orb as effectively as I think he wants to be using it.
No, definitely not. There's still only 4 frags in it. Could be another frag, but how does he keep dodging these orbs? He does get the frag, but again, it just works out being far more painful than it needed to be. These orbs are just not connecting. He needs to get some timing here, which he will do, and has plenty of time to set up for this next Mega.
I like this. nosfa falls down a little bit earlier to take the fight as psygib's just outside. He's got to think twice about that. Missed that Mega, but we'll grab it. No problem. Now psygib's got to be thinking about, all right, 2 minutes. Unfortunately, blasts himself in the face with a rocket. That column wasn't supposed to be there. Dire Orb went out, but it won't matter. nosfa sees the mistake, capitalizes on it, and that will make it still a 4-frag lead. nosfa looking to kind of solidify potential victory here before that time is up. Less than 2 minutes left to go. psygib needs to turn it up right here.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other big factors has just been nosfa managing, managing the mid-range fights much better. Huge use of the heavy machine gun, which makes sure that psygib is generally in a much weaker position when they're taking these close-range fights. As messy as they are, one of the reasons nosfa often gets out on top in this chaos is because his opponent's weaker because of all that efficiency. So that's been nice from a nosfa point of view, and also one of the reasons why you pick a BJ as well, because if you do see your opponent exposed, you can just get double the damage.
Yep. Yeah, and that's exactly how nosfa's played this one. You know, in most cases, we typically talk about, oh, the utility of Ranger, it's great, right? He's got a lot of utility with that Dire Orb, but unfortunately, it just really hasn't come out here for psygib. Whether it's a nosfa's dodging or it's just psygib's inability to kind of hit that. Oh, there we go. He's like, shut your mouth, Wheat, right now. Let me show you what a real Dire Orb looks like. And there we go. So a small victory in what will ultimately be a loss here for psygib.
There's not many times where I watch a match. Yeah, he's pissed. There's not many times where I watch a match and I genuinely feel a little bit of sympathy for somebody where you're like, all right, I get you. This was pretty shit. I'm sorry for that, because there were so many times where he was doing the right things. It was just not working, you know? Everything was right except either the execution or nosfa doing something funky, like jumping underneath his feet on an item or something wacky.
Yeah.
So I do feel a little bit of sorry for psygib there, but I think nosfa, in terms of strategy, he definitely just played it cleaner as well.
He did. He did. You know, started off early with that dual wield LG kill. There it is right there. He had him trapped up at the top of the statue. Wasn't much he could do there. But then the number of fights that took place around the Mega that, you know, I don't know that anyone could have predicted some of those, how some of those would play out. But each player kind of throwing some traps out, like hiding in the back hallway, dropping on top of it at the last moment. Sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't, but it still made for a somewhat entertaining game. Of course, nosfa will win the series 2-0, but we're going to go on to see how this third map will play out. We're going to go to Insomnia, and now psygib just needs to be Mr. Bully here with this scale bearer and see if he can, you know, not let Ison basically zone out. And I don't know, that'll be a big issue, but we'll have to see how this will play out. Interesting matchup, to say the least.
Yeah, it is, and I think as you pointed out in the intro, we have seen everything from that's pretty cool from scale bearer on this map to, oh god, what is happening? Because it's a pretty funky champion and it's a pretty funky map, and it plays out in some weird dynamics, but there are definitely good utilities. You know, you can use the bull rush very effectively pretty much on both major items to get in and out fairly safely. There's some strong choke points that you can just bully your way in through, and it's still a very fast champion when played well. And so despite the geometry of the map, you can traverse it and manage those choke points and play a fast game. So there is definitely logic there, but it's still a scale bearer, and it's still pretty awkward to play and watch.
I mean, it will really come down to how and when that bull rush is activated. You know, we've seen some pretty hilarious, like cue the Benny Hill theme music as scale bearer just like runs right past, and there could be those really weird hallways where it's like there's not much you're able to do at that point. I think ultimately it's going to come down to how nosfa is going to use that turret. Like, what is the plan for that? Is there a specific area of Insomnia that he's hoping to capitalize on? You know, early on, before they made some of the changes, people found out, hey, I can literally just camp here. My opponent can't get a rail gun, and it makes it really hard for them to try to get some control back. Once the map changes were made, kind of eliminated that. But what we have seen a lot of times is, right, get a champion, have a strategy in which you hope to get those first few victories in the fights that you have, and then just kind of control from that middle area still. A lot easier said than done, obviously. We can sit here and say, oh yeah, it's so simple, just do that. But in execution, we'll see how that'll play out.
Yeah, definitely. And I can't remember who picked first on this map, but obviously the Ison has some good utility against the scale bearer alone. And I can imagine situations where the scale bearer is running into a corridor to try and pressure something, runs into a turret and is just kind of stuck. And, you know, that could be fun.
Right
there you go, exactly what I mean. Like, exactly what I mean. How do you take that kill with a straight face, nosfa? Come on.
All right, well, stop predicting the future here, because exactly. I mean, you know, what do you do when you have a scale run on? Just throw the turret down right in front of yourself, and then perfect. But psygib bringing it back, nicely done. I think nosfa had the right idea. I'm going to go ahead and like try to control this area here, but psygib was there. And look at this, psygib bringing 2 back after a kind of, you know, again, failed bull rush and kind of, I don't know, just playing around by nosfa. But psygib bringing it back. Let's see if he can hold on to this control.
Yeah, and there's also some fairly comical areas you could just camp out, like hide out and just bull rush stealthily from behind. It turns into an absolute clown fiesta sometimes, but that's why I love this champion. This time, though, nosfa does get out. The planned sneak attack from psygib did not work. Not enough points to sneak just yet, and is on the ropes with regards to stack.
Yeah, and this is, I think, where you could really start to see some of the potential weakness that could come by going with a scale. If you try to prioritize that long-range, mid-range game, and your rail is on, oh my god, nice shot from nosfa there. He tags psygib on the way out, but psygib's hurt bad. He does pick up that mega, but the rail beautifully done by nosfa. And that's really how I feel like you've got to attack this champion matchup. matchup here on this map.
No.
Ring around the rosy, pocket full of posies, and a rail to the face is what that scale bearer got as nosfa picks up his third frag and holds on to the lead.
He got olayed twice in one bull rush. That is quite impressive. And there you go. That's a great use of the turret. Even though the bull rush is numb, it would stop the bull rush and keeps him trapped. It means if he wants to pressure in, he's trapped himself. But somehow the tri-bolt continues to rain down pain. I thought that was a perfect play from nosfa. The psygib comes out on top somehow.
I really think though, when you are, in psygib's situation, this is like one of those moments where sometimes we would say, hey, you gotta watch that, you gotta temper that aggression. But when you're playing scale, I think you need to prioritize that aggression a little bit. You know, off the spawn like that, being able to dish out a lot of damage. Bull rush was up, exactly what we saw. We tied the game back up. And now, even more importantly, is look at where psygib's at with his stack. Of course, as I say that, it literally gets melted away, and nosfa finishes it up with the rail. There was full control there by psygib. So let's see if he keeps up that aggression. Great positioning there by nosfa. He expects his opponent coming around the corner, lands a defensive rail, a second one, and then just kind of runs away as he hears the bull rush come out. 3 minutes, 20 seconds in, and nosfa is up by 1. But psygib playing this one right, and there it is. The aggression's up. Be the bully as the scale tied up 4-4.
Yeah, but you're completely right. It's as he just demolishes Timmy. It's the reason why you're quick. It's the reason why you have a bull rush, because you want to get in their face and close the gap and use your overbearing weight to create that chaos. You don't want to be taking these rail duels or mid-range LG fights. Yeah, you can have a stack, but you're going to lose dramatically in those situations. So yeah, if you get that stack, it's about getting in your opponent's face as safely and as quickly as possible. So far, there's been moments where he's been able to do that, and you've seen the outcome.
Ooh, nice rocket. Switches to the rail.
Nice.
Ends up landing up, and psygib takes the lead on that one. Now again, control. He's not going to be able to achieve it here as Heavy's picked up by nosfa, but he's going to probably set up here for Mega potentially. He's there. He grabs it. And that's where I think he'll pick up that aggression a little bit. Has his opponent back in the corner, but is definitely respecting that rail.
Yes.
It's been the thing that has kind of equalized things for nosfa, so I'm not surprised. There he sees Timmy. Takes it out, no problem. He's going to be up in a few more seconds. Oh,
what?
My God. I can't even believe that happened. Oh, snap. We're tied up again.
How did he do no damage as well? That's the crazy part to me. You're completely right. Like, I was about to say, psygib's done a really good job of slowing the tempo down and using it in bursts because of the way nosfa's been playing, but right there was just the polar opposite of what not to do.
Yeah, sometimes you're just not ready for this type of things. And oh my gosh,
Mid-air
get LG'd in the air. What do? Just try to bull rush your way out of it. Unfortunately, I feel like bull rush actually hurt him there as he took himself out of position. And
he definitely did, because he popped it whilst he was being levitated.
Right,
so he was
exactly.
spinning his wheels. He had no traction. And then the Timmy popped. So yeah. What do you do? nosfa taking the lead with 5 minutes to go. This is how I want to watch Insomnia every week.
Yeah, I'm down with that. And I really do think nosfa's playing this one right with the, with the long distance rail shots. And again, he's in a situation where psygib's got a pretty sick stack here. He's got to be careful. Once again, puts himself back in this corner. It always concerns me a little bit. How does he weasel his way out of that one? I don't know. He drops back down and bull rush. Even as he's getting electrocuted, and psygib tying it back up yet again. He's very hurt though. He's got to dispatch Timmy and then try to restack here as he is pretty low. Has to be careful.
I don't know how this map is 6-6. Somehow it is that back and forth though. He's in position for the Mega, but the machine gun is good. He's been knocked down from that spam though. He's in a bit of a corner, a bit of a pickle here. He can't get out eating that. But he's hit one rail, which is enough to scare off the scale bearer. It's like if it's healthy enough to push back in. It's weak enough, but this is a push too far. No, it's not.
Oh, well,
yeah.
you know, I mean, I could talk about that exchange there a little bit. I thought maybe that was a bit aggressive from psygib, but, you know, nosfa lands the rail off the spawn. It works out quite well for him. And he's definitely controlling this little mega bridge up here. You know, turret out. There's a lot of different areas that you can attack or you can focus on as your opponent comes in. nosfa does manage to pick up another frag, but psygib, again, be that bully, be aggressive, as it's now 8-8 yet again, and we are having probably the most back and forth Insomnia I've seen in quite some time.
Yeah, no, definitely nobody's got a foothold in this map whatsoever. Even the item pickups are not too far apart. psygib ever so slightly edging that, but damage-wise, nosfa is all over psygib. 4,200 to 2,800. Huge point of difference there.
Yeah, that damage from nosfa is pretty wicked. It's 3,200, or excuse me, 1,300 more than
But that's
his
just
opponent.
well, that's just the power of this follow-up of a scale. You know, because you're spawning with that huge stack. That's what we've seen. Is that refrag? You don't even have to do any damage. Your opponent's basically dead at that point.
9-8, psygib in the lead. Out of the corner, or out of the teleporter. Nice. Bull Rush comes out, cleans it up, doesn't even need the power of that rush to get the frag, and psygib now takes the first time we've seen him with a 2-frag lead here, make that a 3-frag lead. So he wants to clean this up and make it a 2-1 series.
Yeah, this is really hard as a comeback now, as you've rightly pointed out. We haven't seen this extension to the lead because of how chaotic it's been, because of the way in which psygib's playing that scale bearer. And so nosfa has to do something pretty magical. It's difficult on the Insomnia because you can force these close combat fights. On other maps where you can play the distance game, you can potentially force that comeback. But this is very much like Veil, where you trade time and time again.
I feel like both players are a little off on that timing of the heavy, which just turned into a comedy show a little. Oh, man. Oh, no!
Oh, we didn't do that.
Well, you know what? A gauntlet bag right there is what we got. psygib with a solid 4-frag lead in the final minute. He is going to be able to take this one out. I think nosfa had the right idea in his strategy. psygib, though, using the power of this champion to kind of be a little bit more present in those fights and pull your way in. And we're going to probably be finishing up here. 20 seconds. Probably unlikely here for nosfa, as he's just trying to hit his rails, and that's going to be it. Doing the dance on the jump pad.
What? He climbed the wall? That is like some alien shit.
So I'm not sure how this interaction, but if scale hits Timmy, does it, like, his momentum stops?
That's like the worst nightmare scenario. Like, I'm definitely safe here, and it just scales up the wall and chases you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Well, there you go. 13-10. psygib with some choice words at the end there says, I win on land, and guess what? We might find out if that's true in a few weeks. So
is that what he said? Oh.
He did. The internet remembers. So
I'm screenshotted. There you go. I've got it, boys.
We'll see how that will play out. But yeah, take those take that energy, take that into the finals with you, gentlemen. We're going to be excited to see how both of you perform there. Good games to both, but it is going to be nosfa who takes that series 2-1 for our first featured match. nosfa will hang on to his number 12 spot. Don't think that really moves him up in the grand scheme of things, but he gets to maintain that position headed into the championships.
Yeah, and in spite of the teabagging, it was still a nosfa victory in 2-1, so he can feel good about that. You know, have to respect the scale bearer and Insomnia. It's definitely an awkward pick. It makes you change the way you want to play. You can't just camp on those choke points because he will blow right through. So the ice had tried. We saw moments of magic from Timmy, but ultimately the stack and the speed. psygib loves scale bearer anyway, so all of that combined meant he was able to bring the chaos. But otherwise, really well played by nosfa. It was pretty close overall, so I'm sure both players will feel comfortable in their position.
Yeah, agree. And that'll be it for both those players heading into the final matchup. So, you know, they can breathe a sigh of relief. They can just start focusing on playing in the championship, which is just a few weeks away. And we're going to be moving to our next featured matchup here shortly.
Yeah, I mean, we're just going to have to speak to some of the admins and hope these two meet to see if that prophecy from psygib comes true. But as you say, we are going to be moving on to our last match, which is going to be Zenaku versus Venga in the battle of the Maestro Boys, and it will be a good one. So we'll see you in a few minutes.